Hey guys, my name is Theseus. This is the first video on my channel dedicated to calling out the lies, falsehoods, and propaganda spread around the internet, primarily from those on the left, but from the right from time to time as well. In this video, we'll be debunking the Young Turks lying about CEO pay, stagnant wages, and the myth that Sweden is a socialist country. The link will be in the description. I encourage you guys to watch the entire video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more than weekly content. Now, let's get started with our video.
The Economic Policy Institute recently released a new study that looked into the 350 largest companies in the United States and then compared CEO pay to the average worker.
Of course, the Young Turks are looking at a cherry-picked data set, looking only at the average CEO pay of the 350 largest firms in the US and trying to compare that to the average worker. If they were actually trying to be fair, they would have looked at the average CEO pay, which is about 100 times less at only $160,000 per year, not the $18 million a year they cited. Keep this in mind for the rest of the video that they're dealing with cherry-picked data.
And between 2009 and 2017, this is stunning. So your wages went up 2%. Again, with inflation, that's actually nothing, okay? But look at the CEOs. Theirs jumped by $7.8 million, or by 72% in that same time period.
What the Young Turks fail to take into account is the massive amount of people re-entering the workforce due to the recovery from the 2009 recession spurred on by the Trump tax cuts. These individuals often work for less than the average wage, and because they aren't included in the average wage analysis when they are unemployed, by them entering the workforce, they technically bring the average wage down. Couple this with the fact that baby boomers, the highest income earners, are retiring in droves. The average wage technically gets pushed down even further, despite the fact that wages are still going up. And don't just take my word for it. I got this information from the Atlanta Federal Reserve, and they found that after equating for these factors, real wages actually increased by 3.5% as opposed to the measly 2%, more than 50% higher than the media, Washington Post, and the Young Turks are actually reporting.
But what we're seeing here is nothing was done to prevent the disparity between the rich and the poor. Nothing, okay? So let me give you more. The richest 5% of Americans have captured 74% of the wealth created in the country from 1983 to 2010. And also, right now, the top 1% are holding 40% of the nation's wealth. It's absolutely absurd.
Here the Young Turks commit what's called the chess piece fallacy, where they assume humans are immobile unless moved upon by government. They assume the richest 1 in 5% in 1983 are the same richest 1 in 5% in 2010. This is like stating that the NFL is unfairly biased against bad teams because from 2012 to 2017, the bottom 25% of teams never won more than 4 games. Ignoring, of course, that the teams in the bottom 25% in 2012 are different than the teams in 2017. In fact, often individuals are only in the top 10, 5, or 1% for a short period of time due to selling a home or receiving an inheritance. Here we can look at IRS data compiled by the Tax Foundation and see that 56% of those in the top 1% won't remain there over the course of 8 years, and that 58% of those in the bottom quintile will move out of that quintile within 8 years. Here's another chart from the Tax Foundation compiling IRS data that shows that the vast majority of millionaires will no longer be millionaires within just 2 years. Here is a piece from the New York Times written by Brown and Cornell professors that shows that 12% of the population will be in the 1% at some point in their lifetime, and 99% of those in the top 1% will no longer be there within just 10 years. Here is a study from the University of Michigan that was one of the first done on income mobility. The study found that 95% of those in the bottom 20% had left that quintile within 15 years, and that 25% of those in the bottom quintile had moved out within just 1 year. The study also found that 75% of those in the bottom quintile had spent time within the top 40% of income earners over the course of 15 years. It's essential to keep these facts in mind when talking about income inequality. The Young Turks continuously commit the chess piece fallacy, focusing on nebulous income groups as opposed to actual individuals moving between the groups. Once you realize what their argument is based upon, their entire argument crumbles. This is entirely ignoring the fact that income inequality matters far less than actual standards of living, but that's another video for another time.
So for all this time, what have they been doing? The donors have been rigging the system, lowering corporate taxes, lowering taxes on the rich, capital gains taxes lowered. That's almost completely for the rich.
He, of course, forgets to mention that the US has the most progressive tax rate in the world, far more progressive than his beloved Sweden.
In the day, they actually used to get 20 to 1 of the average American worker. Anna's got some stats for you, I'm sure. So Now 20 to 1's pretty high already, right? Now it's 312 to 1.
Still cherry picking the data of the top 350 richest CEOs.
But let me tell you how things were in the past, where we stand now, and then I want to do just a quick comparison between the United States and other countries. Okay, so the gap between CEO pay and worker pay was larger in 2007, reaching a ratio of 344 to 1 in 2000 and 327 to 1 in 2007. Now, let's compare that to 2017, where it was 312 to 1. So we're getting back up there, you know? And again, it's a testament to how much of a failure Dodd-Frank was in, reining in executive pay. Now, if you compare the United States to other countries, you'll see a pretty stark difference. The CEO worker pay ratio is about 94 to 1 in the United Kingdom, 91 to 1 in France, 71 to 1 in the Netherlands, and I really want to focus on this, 40 to 1 in Sweden, which is why you see so much anti-socialism propaganda in the media.
Of course, they point to Sweden, which has a higher economic freedom index score than the US, has no minimum wage law unlike the US, has a lower corporate tax rate than the US, and has a much less progressive tax rate than the US. But yeah, Sweden is definitely socialist. Cenk and Anna spend the rest of the video talking about how there's a recession coming. Hint, there's always a recession coming. That's how business cycles work. But I wanted to take this time to tell you guys to please go watch the full video. Check out all my sources in the description box. And if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing videos debunking leftist lies, falsehoods, and propaganda at least once a week, hopefully more than that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks.